now present For the Record.
Just ahead, as the governor's race heats up, a call to halt paroles.
The law itself dictates who has to be released.
And an abortion flip.
Tim Michaels is really responding to public opinion, I think.
But first, a rare criminal charge against a state law enforcement agent in Dane County.
You know what, 10 years ago, yeah, this wasn't charged. Maybe 5 years ago, it wasn't charged. And maybe George Floyd changed everything.
Welcome to For the Record. I'm Naomi Coles. It's been more than 7 months since Quadren Wilson was shot by state agents in Madison. And this week, the news broke that Dane County District Attorney Ishmael Azan is charging one of them with second-degree recklessly endangering safety. Court records tell DCI agent Mark Wagner's side of the story. His attorney and multiple law enforcement representatives have declined to elaborate. The court record we have focuses on two things: DCI's use of force policy and interviews with 4 special agents on the scene, including Wagner and a witness. It all boils down to what happened in just a second or two of time after 2 squads trapped Wilson's car. Nathan Pesky followed behind Wagner, who was carrying a ballistic shield. Pesky saw what he thought was a fist, part of a gun, and then a hole shattered in the driver's window. Nearly simultaneously, Wagner says he started shooting because he thought he was being shot at. Wagner believes he fired 1 shot. His gun showed he fired 2. Wagner fell backward. Pesky thought he had been shot, and Pesky then fired as well. Of note here, Pesky is not charged, and Wilson didn't have a gun. I sat down with Quadren Wilson's attorney to get his thoughts. Steve, thanks so much for joining us. Your first reaction to second-degree reckless endangerment for this DCI officer, what's right off the top, what are you thinking?
I always thought that was the crime, second-degree reckless. I said that months ago. I'm a little distressed that the other shooter was not charged as well. And it's not just the shooting, it's the whole plan of attack. It's the whole crazy idea that someone thought we need to assemble 21 people and we need to ram this guy from the front with a big pickup truck and ram him from the back with a big pickup truck, and then to have 10 people pop out of the car and smash his window in, and within 10 seconds, at least according to the criminal complaint, 7 shots are fired. It's not just the shooting, it's the whole plan of attack. And someone upstairs in the top of the hierarchy has to get together with the powers that be for these police agencies and say, this is not an appropriate way to do what they did to Quadren Wilson. It is crazy.
So this is only partial justice, in your opinion?
More justice hopefully will follow later. It's justice at least as to one shooter. The family wants justice, they want accountability, they want someone to be responsible. I still think the other shooter should have been charged as well. The entire scenario is just horrendous.
The DOJ tells me this is actually the first time to their knowledge that a DCI agent has ever been charged in the line of duty. Now, in this criminal complaint, Mark Wagner, the man being charged, describes being afraid for his life. He believes he was being shot at. He did not see a gun, but in the chaos of the moment, and he was the one that first shoots, triggers this chain reaction. But once we get to court, I mean, many officers have argued that in terms of self-defense, in terms of they are, defending their lives when they shoot, and that, to a larger degree, largely gets cops off of criminal charges. So what's going to be different about this case?
I haven't seen all the police reports, but you said a word, chaos. And that's what this was, chaos. Who caused the chaos? The police department. Who created this situation? Who decided we were going to take him down this way, smash into him, and jump out of the car? This guy's supposed to be a trained police officer, okay? He's supposed to, as he said in the complaint, I've done this 40 times in the past. Well, 40 times in the past, did you jump out all amped up in panic? And why is he falling down? No, no, no. For them to come in and say, oh, Quadren moved in the car for 5 to 10 seconds, we thought we were being shot at. Why did he think he was being shot at? Because one of the other cops smashed out the window with some type of battering ram. Was that the noise he heard? And if that is the noise he heard, why wasn't he trained better? So he's going to blame Quadren for this? He's going to blame Quadren for 21 cops coming down on him and doing a smash and grab? I don't think so. And the problem is, when he starts shooting, he's supposed to know better. And you get the explanation, well, they thought Quadren had a gun. He didn't have a gun. He didn't do anything in that car. There were no furtive movements. Oh, he was reaching around. You know, if I'm hit from behind like that, and then hit from the front and locked in and 10 guys jump out of a car with guns, I'm going to panic too. So don't tell me that Quadren Wilson was supposed to sit there stoically and say, "Hello, officer, how can I help you?" Was he moving around? I'd be moving around too. So that's their problem. That's the police's problem in starting this whole progression. So if to say, well, we thought he had a gun, well, you should have thought about that sooner. He didn't have a gun, and they were the reason he was, Quadren did whatever he did. And what do we got in there? He moved around a little bit. My God, I would have moved around too. Remember that there's a window smashed out in the meantime before the shots are fired. What, you're going to smash a window next to me when I'm sitting in the front seat and I'm going to sit there stoically? No, I'm going to be moving. And they should have expected that.
Do we know anything from the complaint about who smashed that window? To me, it's very unclear.
Agreed. And remember, you need to know, this is a 12-page complaint, which is a snippet of probably hundreds or thousands of police reports. And that's the other thing, you know, you talked about, what you said again, chaos. This was chaos, and it was chaos caused by the police. And then what we have here in this case is we don't have the officers being talked to immediately. They're not arrested on the spot like every other person charged with a crime, or a lot of the time. They're arrested and they're taken to the police station, they have their Miranda rights read, and they decide to talk or they don't talk. They don't have a chance to get together and gather their thoughts and talk with other co-defendants and have a discussion. What are we going to say? What are we going to do? We got to talk to our union reps. These guys are talked to 6 days later. And we're going to say, oh, this is exactly what happened? What is Wagner supposed to say? He put himself in this position. He's supposed to be a trained officer. He should have known better.
I know you're here representing Wilson.
Yeah.
I know in terms of criminal defense, what you would like to see the outcome of this case, but realistically, legally, based on precedent, and there's not a lot of precedent in terms of these types of cases against officers, what's the most realistic outcome of this?
Well, wait a minute, Naomi. There's precedent around the country. And you know what? 10 years ago, yeah, this wasn't charged. Maybe 5 years ago, it wasn't charged. And maybe George Floyd changed everything. And what bothers me about this case, we have no video. Every other case you see has video. If it's not police video, it's bystander video. We don't have it here. I cannot believe these police agencies don't have body cams. Middleton has body cams. Verona has body cams. What in the world is going on? So, what was your question? I lost the question. Tell me again.
Outcome of the case. What's
the outcome of the case. I don't know the outcome. That's very hard to predict. You know, there are plea deals and there are everything else. So what kind of plea deal are they going to do? And I don't want to speak for the DA's office. I have no idea. You're going to give them a first offenders program? You're going to go through all this and give them a walk? You're going to knock it down to disorderly conduct? I don't see that happening. It's too high profile. And when you say there's not precedent here, there may not be precedent here, but there's precedent around the country now. I mean, we see it all the time. Police are getting convicted and they're going to jail. I see, and this is just a guess, because I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know what the hundreds of pages of police reports might say. My guess is it goes to a trial, because I think the DA's office looks weak if they charge this and then plead it out with some type of diversion, or they give them a misdemeanor DC. I don't know how they do that, but I can't and won't speak for them. That's just my personal thoughts.
Anything you'd like to add?
You know, he was on a GPS. He was scheduled to see his PO the next morning. They could have just sat in his office and arrested him there. The entire progression of events that led up to this are astonishing to me. And that's why I think we need changes up there. You know, I have some police acquaintances, some friends, that tell me nobody wants to work with a DCI because they're cowboys. And this was a cowboy operation.
Steve, thank you so much for your time.
Welcome.
When we come back, the latest in a high-stakes governor's race.